Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 31 of the Dragon Radar podcast. We are your hosts, Heeroh and Ajoten. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well. Once back again for a Dragon Ball discussion. How's about yourself?
Very hot, because England is hot right now. But I'm ready to go. So,
Power through.
Yeah, I'll power through. I've got water, I'm ready to go. So let's jump straight into it with Roshi's rant.
Let's go.
This is Roshi's Rant.
So this is Roshi's Rant, the first segment of the podcast, where we deep dive into a particular topic regarding Dragon Ball. And this week, we're talking about Dragon Ball Super, and more specifically, yes, I can get that word out, what went wrong with Super? Because a lot of people love talking trash about Super. There's a lot of things that people didn't like. But we're going to be discussing those things and talking about our own gripes with the show. So clickbait title, there it is. I hope you watch this first 30 seconds so then you can complain in the comments and look like a fool. But I'll let you start this thing off. Should we go arc by arc? Just say the stuff that we don't like.
The main 5 arcs of Super are: there's God of Destruction Beerus, Golden Freezer. Universe 6 and Duplicate Vegeta are classified as one.
Mm-hmm.
There's Future Trunks, otherwise known as Goku Black, and then Universe Survival.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start, of course, with God of Destruction Beerus.
Yeah.
Now, I, for the most part, really enjoyed God of Destruction Beerus.
Mm-hmm.
I did find it started out quite slowly. And for the most part, I think the biggest gripe I had with the Beerus saga is mostly the amount of animation mistakes that they've made.
Yes.
I
completely agree with that.
Yeah, I think they did pretty well with the story itself. I think they introduced Beerus very well. They built him up. You were interested in Beerus from the get-go. You thought him and Whis' dynamic was great, and you were eager for him to come, but you never got sick. You were never like, oh, for God's sake, can you just get there already? I didn't really feel that.
Yeah.
I was just patiently ready. I mean, there was episode 4 where it was just the Pilaf gang, and that was kind of ridiculous. I didn't need that. That was ridiculous. Like,
I can't even remember. What did they do? They were just trying to steal the Dragon Balls, right?
Yeah, it was just this random fill episode in episode 4. It's like, you don't need that early.
To be honest, that was the first time that they were reintroduced since OG Dragon Ball, though, right?
Yeah, but you don't need it in episode 4 of the brand new show.
It's true, but also it's interesting to me that they did do that, though, because I don't think
didn't translate with the Western audience as well as it did with the Japanese audience. I think
potentially, I don't know, because I don't think we see them at all in Z, no. But they were around in OG Dragon Ball quite a bit. And then for me, as an OG fan, I loved seeing them back. I thought it was interesting and unique, just because there's so many characters that have been forgot about over the years. And out of all characters to come back, it was the Pilaf gang, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Nice little throwback. Are they just going to be a one-off? Are they going to be recurring characters? And they're recurring characters now.
I think if you're going to do a filler episode of something like that, do it after an arc, not while you're looking to start an arc of the big bad 4 episodes into your brand new show, though. It was probably a very poor time to do it.
I'll probably agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of introduction, so for that, I had no issue. Like, otherwise, I was ready for Beerus. Everything was coming. It was good. I was happy with that. I mean, they'd introduced Goku. They didn't introduce Vegeta. They'd shown us where they were. I was fine. Beerus was approaching. It was great. But you saw the animation mistakes, and they weren't small.
Yeah,
they were very bad.
Yeah, I think that was
the things that stood out massively, and it's to the point where they're memed.
Yeah, that was everyone's main discrepancy about the start of Super, at least, because it does fix up after the Beerus arc, I guess, or maybe a little bit after that. But the first maybe 20-ish episodes of Super, not the best, and there's a lot of frames where they look like stick figures pretty much.
Yeah, there's like one where it's Goku's standing like floating behind Beerus, and he's got like a warped face and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the Super Saiyan 3 Goku for me when he's fighting Beerus, and it's just the long hair. It just looks bad.
Vegeta with his backwards thumb, his backwards hand as well, where I don't think
I've seen that one.
Yeah, he's stumbling towards Beerus or something like that, and he's like his hand is on the wrong hand.
Wow.
But I think really the story of the God of Destruction, I'm happy with personally.
Yeah.
It's the animation that I feel falls down. It doesn't feel too long for me. I feel, for the most part, I'm very happy with the God of Destruction arc. It doesn't feel too long. Once they get into it and the fights, it's all excellent. I thoroughly enjoy the fighting. I don't feel it takes too long to get into it. You obviously have that's my Bulma moments and everything like that. I mean, that's pretty much episode 7 that's my Bulma. And then you episode 8, Goku arrives. And then pretty much after that, you get the introduction of the new form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any real issue with that being introduced because basically there's no reason for the Saiyans to know about it. It's God Key. I don't see why the Saiyans would know about it.
And it's hype as well because like Dragon Ball Z ended, and with Super, they needed something fresh, something to draw the kids in, new form, new hype, and it worked. And it's a shame that they got rid of it so quickly after that. But it worked for what it was, and for the short time it lasted as the new best form. Yeah, I've got no problems with it. I like the way it was, like how you achieved the form. You needed 5 Saiyans linking up together, because apparently no 5 Saiyans have ever held hands together in a circle before to achieve this form.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind it overall.
Yeah, I think I didn't have any major gripes. It was the animation I let down. So the actual story. So I thought it started out very strong, which was a shame because leading into what happened next.
Yeah, but yeah, the arc overall was 18 episodes long, and
I don't think that was too much personally.
I don't either, because it was just a retread of the Battle of Gods film, because the Battle of Gods film was released, I think, a year or maybe even 2 years before Super actually came out. So, that hour and a half long film got spread up into 18 episodes that added in a lot more detail. Obviously, bits of filler here and there, like you mentioned with the Peel-Off Gang and stuff. But I guess they were also a little bit in the film as well. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I had no issues, and I like the fact that they changed up parts as well. Like in the film, the whole thing takes place on a boat. Bulma's party's on the boat and everything. Out in the middle of the sea, they fight, and then instead in the show, it's at the Capsule Corp, and they're just in the back garden having the party instead.
I preferred it at Capsule Corp personally.
Yeah, it made sense a bit more, because I get it that Bulma's rich and everything, and yeah, she probably can't afford this massive yacht just for like 10 people, but it seemed a bit unnecessary. And I feel like even though she is rich, you never really see her spend money, and it feels almost slightly out of character for her to spend so much just on like a massive yacht and a huge birthday bash, instead of just having it in a back garden where feels like it would make sense
together. Yeah, it's like karaoke is more what we know the characters to do.
Yeah,
dumb karaoke.
Exactly. Yeah, so I like that. Like they changed bits of the film and it made sense, and I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, but no, all in all, I thought it started well. It was more the animation side of things where it was the big letdown for me.
Yeah.
So, but following on from that, we then lead into Golden Frieza.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I personally find things change drastically.
In a good way or a bad way?
A bad way.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah. I think this is where the downfall of Frieza begins.
Okay, from a story standpoint, I see where you're going already. I guess I was looking at it I already know the film. I know what's going to happen. Did they succeed in doing that in the show? But I shouldn't be thinking of it like that because, yeah, Super is Super and this is what happened. So they made it canon. So, yeah, I kind of agree. The treatment of Frieza wasn't great.
I mean, they took they took Frieza. I mean, this guy's Frieza.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is
the Dragon Ball villain.
Yeah. He's in anime. He's one of the big bads of anime.
Yeah.
And they just did him dirty. And you look at Super and you just think, what just happened? He was made a joke of in that film. Absolute joke. And you just watch it and you just think, and he comes out and he's flexing with his new form and everything, and you think, right. And really what should be happening in that film is he should be coming out and you're thinking, right, now it's time for a fight. And basically, really what the film is it's Goku and Vegeta flexing their form and then a planet gets blown up. That's basically the film in a nutshell. And obviously all the 9 episodes, whichever you want to look at it. But that's basically it, like in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Or Gohan getting zapped to bits. Him shouting really loudly. His dad happened to catch on. And then them flexing on him. And them getting rid of Super Saiyan God. It's such a deviation that it just doesn't. Because the fact that they chucked away Red as well.
Yeah, it feels like they did the opposite of what they did with the Beerus film. Because with the Beerus film, they realized their mistakes, changed a few little details here and there, added in some filler, added in some extra moments and things like that. And then with the Frieza arc, I feel they didn't change anything at all. It was 9 episodes, which is like less than 180 minutes because each episode's under 20 minutes. The film and the 9 episodes is probably just about the same length. If you think about it that way, you know, it's maybe like an extra 10-20 minutes at most, the episodes, but that's it. And it's like, okay, they haven't really added anything, they haven't really changed any details. Yes, the animation gets cleaned up by this point. I don't think there's any more bad animation from the Frieza arc onwards, but
no huge blunders, I don't believe, like massive blunders.
But yeah, like you said, they introduce another new form in blue. And yeah, Frieza's made to look weak. The villain of anime.
The thing is, he can't even he says, "Oh, I've got this new form, and I got it super fast by not doing a tiny bit of training. But I don't know how to control it," and he loses it. Yeah. So he's not only like Frieza is clever, he is smart. He is no fool. Yeah. He's not dumb, but he's
overconfident at times.
He's arrogant, but he's not dumb. And they make him look stupid because he can't keep his own form. Yeah. So he went there unprepared because he couldn't control his energy and he just lost the form. And that seems silly to me. And then also them getting blue, we didn't see any of that.
Yeah, it's a shame because if you haven't seen the Frieza film and you're just watching the show, which fair enough, but I mean you're not going to go into it without knowing that Frieza's returning, pretty much. But even if you haven't watched the films, if you've watched Z, this is the first time Frieza's returned in 20 years or something. He is the most well-known anime villain of all time, potentially. He's a fan favorite. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows how powerful he is. He comes back with a new form just to leave again in 9 episodes, and he's defeated. He loses that new form, and that's it. Half of those 9 episodes as well, he doesn't fight or anything, you know. He's got the fights with his massive army. That happens. everyone getting together to prepare for the fight and everything. So the fight with Frieza and stuff probably only lasts maybe 3, maybe 4 episodes, and then he's gone again. It's like, okay, well, it was nice to see Frieza, I guess, but what happened? What did you do to my boy?
Yeah, it was very rushed, and it was literally the downfall of Frieza in my eyes.
Yeah, this could have done with more filler and more detail added, just like the Beerus arc. They added probably double the length of the film time in filler and extra detail. They could have done the same for Frieza. They could have dragged out the fight a bit more. They could have added in a reason to pause or bring in a new mini boss that wasn't
one shot Ginyu.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, why not have like 2-3 episodes with Ginyu back? Like, we haven't seen Ginyu since Z either, and he finally gets a body again, and that's it. He's done in one shot. Like, give him like 2-3 episodes before we move on to Frieza, because everyone is waiting to see Frieza fight in this new form. Everyone's getting prepared for it. Give Ginyu the satisfaction of being able to fight again and be back. But no, he's gone.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the way Goku's defeated with a ring, like when he gets shot by Sobe, which makes zero sense. Like, what is in that ring that can, like, seriously? Yeah. Like, he's fighting Frieza and everything, nothing's touching him, and then he gets shot by that in the heart. I'm pretty sure, if I remember rightly, and he doesn't die. Like, what is going on? Just a lot of that film does not make sense, and I think, to be honest, it is one of the deserved. I think it is definitely one of the lowest arcs in Dragon Ball, and I think, to be honest, deservedly so.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Which is sad to say, because I love Frieza so much. He is my favorite villain out of all Dragon Ball villains, and yet this arc does him no justice at all, and it just ruins his legacy a bit. Yeah. I
think they do redeem him a bit later in the Tournament of Power.
Yeah.
When he can control his power properly and he can flex a little bit. And when we get to see a bit more of him when he can control the power. I mean, they do him a bit dirty again in the Broly film, but he gets time in the Tournament of Power at least gets to be Frieza again.
Yeah.
But Resurrection F is not his time.
No. But should we move on to the next arc?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is next? We have Universe 6 and the Duplicate Vegeta, Copy Vegeta arc.
Yes.
They kind of go together in one.
Yes, these are interlinked.
Yeah.
I thought the introduction of Champa was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's the beginning of fleshing out of the godhood properly.
I like the introduction of all of the Universe 6 characters, to be honest. I loved seeing a bit of Hit's background and him coming in. I loved seeing Kaba, even Kevin Caulifla as well. I even loved the Frost stuff. His backstory was pretty cool, because obviously he's like Frieza race, kind of. But
it's the fact that it's a mirror universe, really.
Yeah.
I really like that. I thought it was really clever. I know it's a cliche multiverse thing, like you could say. Like, I like it personally.
Yeah,
I really enjoy it. The fact that there are more Saiyans and there is a legitimate reason to have more Saiyans, and it makes sense. I like that, and the fact that they've made the Saiyans different, so they've made them a peaceful race for the most part, unless you're Caulifla. She's such an angry young lady. I really like it. I'm very happy with that. Like, I think it's very clever. I do love Hit. He's such an interesting character. He's very good. He is voiced by the brilliant Matthew Mercer. He does a brilliant job with him. He always does a brilliant job.
Yeah. Potentially my favorite new character introduced to Dragon Ball in Super.
Yeah. I'm really interested in that. I think I do enjoy. I'm a fan of the small tournaments. I very much enjoy that. I don't really have any massive issues with the small tournament for the most part.
No, I don't either.
No.
I like the introduction of the characters. I liked the fight scenes were great as well. Even the filler episode, the baseball filler episode, was so good. I love a great filler episode because obviously the baseball episode had nothing to do with the plot or anything. We've got to have filler here and there. There's some good filler and there's some really bad filler. And this was probably maybe the best filler episode out of all filler.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I would argue it because there was genuine effort in the filler episode. Like there are some where it's just literally to flesh out and put more episodes in, whereas this there is a lot of throwback references and everything like that. They made an effort to put something into this, and I love that.
And I love I always love it when they deviate from the main characters, because obviously Goku and Vegeta are the main characters and they're always going to be around, they're always going to be the spotlight. But I like it when some side characters can just get an episode to shine a bit. And this episode, the filler episode, even though it was, full of characters, this was Yamcha's episode to shine. And I loved that. I loved that he took center stage. He was telling everyone what to do. He was the star player. He got redemption for his meme. Everything happened, and it's great to see Yamcha just get that bit of shine. Loved it. Can't follow it at all.
And I think the only big issue I had with the tournament, for the most part, is the fact that how dirty they did Piccolo. I think against Frost.
I
think they finally brought up Piccolo. They showed that he'd been practicing. He was doing so well. He'd had his multi-forms. He'd used his arms again, his stretchy arms and everything. And it's something that we hadn't seen in so long.
Yeah.
And it's like he's been doing it, and it's like our boy's gonna get the win. And it's like, and we haven't seen him do well and get wins until Super Hero, when he's finally Orange Piccolo.
Yeah.
It's like it's took till 2022 for him to finally get something. And we had to wait so long. And I would have loved for him to get the win. I kind of get why they didn't give it to him.
Yeah, I understand. They had to show why Frost was a bit of a menace. Yeah. And then they also had to show that Gohan is still strong as well by being able to, fight through Frost's power, through his poison. So, yeah.
But
understandable.
I would have loved to see him get the win. I think it was very disappointing that being Vegeta, Gohan, you're not thinking of when he fought Lavender or Basil.
Ah, yeah, sorry, I am. Yes.
I was thinking
Two people have poison powers, and I was getting them confused.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Vegeta absolutely annihilates Frost afterwards.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I understand it though, because it was a tournament, and they can't just have every character win. They've got to give some wins to the opposite team, I guess. And Piccolo was their scapegoat, and I think he was probably the right choice, to be honest. He's a strong enough character to take a loss and not seem weak.
Yeah. You got to flex a bit, but it would have been nice.
Yeah.
I get why they do it. It's always disappointing to see.
Mm.
It would have been nice though. But for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I did like it. It was nice, and especially to step back into the tournament arena, the tournament format, something you haven't seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Yeah. But the second half of this arc, the duplicate Vegeta stuff.
What were they thinking? I don't understand. Where did
horrible.
This come from? I remember watching Super, and then I just thought, what's happening?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
This was legit just extended filler for no reason. I don't understand why it went on for maybe 5-6 episodes or something like that. Almost as long as the entire Golden Frieza arc was this duplicate Vegeta arc. And it's
this
why?
wasn't even an arc or anything like this. This was this cannot be acknowledged as a bad guy or anything like this.
Yeah.
This is just the weirdest excuse for filler ever.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I cannot fathom what they were thinking with this.
I don't get it. I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea, why they went through with it. why it went on for so long. Like, if it was a one-off episode, I can maybe forgive them. But it wasn't. It was like 4, maybe 5 episodes.
And it's literally just them just once again, Goku just crapping all over Vegeta.
Mm.
The mocking ending, because Goku has to turn up and just save the day and just ruin Vegeta because Vegeta can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's like, it just feels like literally a bunch of episodes where Vegeta gets mocked
Yeah.
and Goku has to save the day. It's like
It
the writers
necessary.
got bored,
Yeah.
wanted to have a laugh at Vegeta for like 4 or 5 episodes, and then have Goku save the day.
That's the problem with the power levels again, though, because they've made them so high that they needed something to happen between the mini tournament and the tournament of power beginning, and they thought, okay, what can we do? Let's introduce like some mini villain just for a few episodes. But then also they still wanted to keep Goku and Vegeta involved because they're the main characters, and so they had to bring out this random blob fake Vegeta as an enemy to prove worthy of having Vegeta and Goku there, because he sucks all of Vegeta's energy out, so he can't fight him. They need Goku to finish the job. And it's like, I understand you want a mini villain just to pass some time to show that something's happening in between things, but make a villain where, you know, the minor characters can jump in. Imagine if they had those 5 episodes or so where it was a villain that was strong enough for like Krillin, TM, Piccolo, and, you know, Goku and Vegeta were just off training with Beerus or whatever, and you see little bits of them here and there, but they're not really around for these 5 episodes or so. And this mini villain is just, you know, there for the minor characters. Give them a bit of shine. That would have been great. I would have loved that.
Because the weird thing is, Trunks and Goten are there.
Yeah, but they don't
And
really
can't
do anything. Yeah, such a waste. Like,
if
they
you're
could
gonna
have.
do it, just have them sort it out.
Yeah, they could have had that whole arc where it's just Goten and Trunks. Finally give them something to do that isn't Gotenks and isn't rubbish. But no, they're still useless. They still don't do anything, and it's still up to Goku to save the day. And it's like, come on, just... If you're going to put some focus on minor characters and bring them along, let them do something, you know?
It was just... This, in my opinion, of everything that happened in the entirety of Super...
is the worst thing.
Animation and everything like that is the worst part of Super.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because it does not make sense. Like, there's a lot of mistakes that were made. There's animation mistakes. There's general story that was like there, but this, it's the fact that it doesn't make sense. It's bad story writing, and it's just there's no reason for it to exist. Like, I don't get it, and I just think it's poor writing, and I don't like it. I will be very surprised if there's anybody who's basically like, I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I would honestly be surprised as well. I've never ever heard anyone talk about it in a positive light. So
no,
I'd be surprised. But for the
by
sake
all means, if leave a note in the comments if you disagree.
Yeah.
And please give us your reasons why we did wrong. Cause I can't see it.
Yeah, same here. But for the sake of time, let's move on. There's still 2 arcs left. So up next is the Future Trunks arc.
Yes.
Yeah. 30 episodes of the best arc in Super, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. It is the best arc in Super. I think they did very well in this.
The villain was incredible. The best villain in Super introduced. With Zamasu and Goku Black, both of them held their own. It was an interesting twist to have 2 main villains at the same time, because there's always just one, and that one ends up transforming like 20 times. But for a change, there was 2 villains working side by side, and it was nice to see.
2 interesting villains as well.
Yeah, and 2, even though they're both technically Zamasu, they were both different and, you know, held up together. And there was an obvious difference between them. And it's not just in looks either, but the battle styles, their attacks, everything was great.
Yeah. You could basically tell that obviously Zamasu in Goku's body fed off being a Saiyan, and he utilized that. And so he fought differently. I really enjoyed Goku Black. I really thought the way he fought and everything like that. I love how he looks, the way he fights. Super Saiyan Rose, I just think he does everything. I love it.
Yeah.
Very much enjoy it. I loved the entire arc. I thought it was great. I thought animation started stepping up. Things started looking really, really good. Things started getting a lot better. Some of the fights started looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
However, then, and I think there won't be anybody who disagrees,
The
ending happened.
Yeah. The ending was not good. I think they pushed themselves into a corner a bit because they made Zamasu invincible. And then they're like, what are we supposed to do here? How can we end this properly? I think they didn't have an ending when they started it. And then they just went with it. And then they're like, okay, we need to think of something here. But what makes sense? How do you kill an indestructible being? And it's like, yeah, make him just absorb the planet, absorb the universe.
To be honest, I think even Trunks' sword was silly. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't like the Spirit Bomb sword or whatever it is, Sword of Hope or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand it. And it was like his got rage, Super Saiyan, like God Key that's not God Key. It looks like God Key but isn't God Key, and it just looks exactly like it but isn't. It's just like this random form that no longer exists or is talked about anymore. Again, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and then he just randomly gets a sword out of nowhere. It's this. It just feels like an ex machina sword that allows him to win. The Vegito and also the Vegito separate, where it's like, oh, you happen to be too strong, and poof, now you have separated.
It was, in my opinion, though, it was nice to see because Future Trunks is one of my favorite characters. I loved him in Z, and I thought
they improved him, to be fair.
Yeah, I was so happy to see him back in Super, and I loved all of the stuff where you went to Earth to see Gohan and to see Vegeta again. That was all incredible stuff. And I love the fact, even though the Sword of Hope, Sword of Light, whatever you want to call it, was a little strange, maybe not the best thought out thing, I appreciated the fact that Trunks got a mini win because he doesn't get one in Z. You know, he's the one who's there. Well, I mean, he kills Frieza, but even that's forgotten about literally 10 seconds after he's done it. They're just like, oh, by the way, androids are coming now. Forget about Frieza. And then that's it. So I don't even class that as a win. That's just him showing up and then moving on straight away. So he doesn't get a win in that entire arc when it should have been based around him maybe a little bit more than it was. But then here, he does get a bit of a win. It's finally nice to see, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then, obviously, they have to call on Zeno afterwards.
Yeah, because how do you kill someone that's unkillable? The
Zeno
button.
Giggling in the sky. Like,
yeah.
Weird. It just looks stupid as well. Lots of faces laughing in the sky.
I don't get it. What can he do? He doesn't attack when he's the sky. He's just green and fills up the sky and it's like, okay, now what? Is that it? What are you going to do?
Just let him laugh. Yeah. Let him laugh and look weird. Like,
imagine if Trunks is just like, okay, we can see his face, but he's not doing anything. Should we just get on with life now? Is that it? Is he done? I guess we can just... you can leave now.
I think it's just... the ending was... I think that's the most disappointing thing. It was such a brilliant arc in my eyes. I enjoyed it so much. And then it was kind of like...
let's reset the universe.
I don't understand why you've done this.
No.
But I think you're right that it's a case of that they did paint themselves into a corner. And maybe they should have done something like a Shenron wish or something.
Yeah, or maybe they did do it that way on purpose just because we haven't really seen the full power of Zeno at this point. And this was like the introduction to how strong he can be. Look, he can destroy someone who's unkillable. He can reset the universe. He can fix any and all problems. And then we see that pushed even further when the Tournament of Power comes around.
Yeah. I don't know, but the execution, even if that is the case, the execution is poor.
Yeah.
It should have been the case of like that he was defeating them, they couldn't hold him back, and they realized that they didn't have a choice, and maybe they just had to hold Zamasu back as he was defeating them, and maybe somebody else asked Zeno to do it.
Yeah.
While they were just holding him back as Zamasu was just about to kill them or something like that. But instead of this weird laughing sky where Goku presses a button, but he could have pressed the button at the start of the arc if he really needed to do that. Like,
yeah, he could have, but that's I mean, yeah, you're completely right. Why didn't they just straight away go to Xena and say, hey, there's this guy who, he was one of your gods, angels? What was the master?
Hey, Zenny.
Kai? The master was a Kai. So there's one of these Kais went rogue. He's trying to kill the universe. Can you just sort that out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been it. But whatever. Time rips happen, all that stuff. And it's just like, yeah, okay, it is what it is.
Pain.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll move on to the final arc of Super, which is the Tournament of Power, which I have a gripe straight away, because this arc was 55 episodes.
Yes.
Which
my biggest thing is it's too long.
Yeah, it's over a third of all of Dragon Ball Super, and it's just one long continuous fight. And yes, there's like how many 80 characters involved in this fight, and they all get a bit of screen time here and there. But also, over half of those characters do nothing, and probably half of that half are around for one episode. And then the remainder are the main characters, which is maybe like 10 characters, 20 characters out of the 80, and that's it.
Like, it would be very easy, like, at the start for there to be a bit of chaos, and you just hear loads of explosions and see loads of characters go, and get blasted off straight away from randomers from other universes, because they're going to be very weak compared to people. Like, you could just see, like Top blast someone off straight away, or Vegeta blast someone off straight away. Like, you could easily just chuck out five people from one random universe who were just from really weak, like from universe, like, did you 10 was really weak, did you see?
10 was the weakest.
Chuck five people out from universe 10 immediately. Yeah Stuff like that. Like, for Bergamo's universe, 5 people, because they're one of the weakest. The only people you need to keep in from Bergamo's universe are Bergamo, Basil, and Labrador, because they're the only 3 people that we know. And they're really sneaky, so they'll just go hide, and then they'll come back later and try and attack Goku when he's by himself. And then they'll get eliminated. And that's all we need to see from them for a good while.
Yeah,
so
but on the flip side, I do like the fact that they gave every character a moment to shine, especially out of the main Universe 7 team. Like, even Tien got a bit of a shine, Master Roshi got an incredible episode, even Krillin a little bit, I guess, maybe. But every character in the team got a moment to shine, which I did like about the arc, but it was way too long, and there was a lot of fights that dragged out that didn't need to be, because the arc was so long as it is. So, I mean, they even said
this fight was way too long.
Yeah, they even said at the start, like, this is supposed to be, what was it, 42 minutes or 49 minutes? It was one of those two. That's how long the tournament was supposed to last for, and it was either last man standing or universe with the most people after the time limit wins. And yeah, those 42 minutes or whatever last maybe 50 of the 55 episodes. This is really, really long.
They did a Frieza Goku. Did the Namek Saga again, basically.
I mean, I understand, because they were doing like, this is what happened here on this side of the arena with these characters at the same time that this was happening with these characters. So it made sense, I guess. But maybe they just made a mistake by having that many universes in. If they had maybe like 6 or 5 universes instead of 8, then that's cutting out nearly half of the cast of characters that they need to introduce. And it would have still been epic. There would have still been 50, maybe 60 new characters, and they could have still done a lot with them and just reduced the episodes by like 10, 15, 20.
But the thing is, they did things like they made that massive robot boss or whatever, a fusion boss.
Yeah.
Like, did you need that? Did they fought? Didn't they fight that for like 2-3 episodes or something?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Like, you didn't need to fight that thing for that long. Like, they should have just eliminated that universe. Like, it didn't need to happen. I don't think. Like, you had Jiren was going to be your big bad,
Yeah.
and then you had Toppo, who's going to be your destruction. They were a big fight. They were a big factor.
Yeah.
And I think that's another big problem.
I understand.
The fact that you had Top and you had Jiren, and they were huge fights that lasted very, very long. And the fact that Jiren was not an engaging villain, or
Yeah.
he's not a villain, I suppose, an antagonist. The fact that he just wasn't that interesting.
Yeah.
So he just gave threatening statements, and then Goku would engage, and they'd swing at each other for a while.
And that's it.
He'd get into Ultra Instinct, and then he'd drop out of it, and then he'd get into it and drop out of it, and
yeah,
the fight went on for too long.
It did.
And if it was an engaging enemy like Frieza or somebody like that, where there was a back and forth, it might have been more interesting. But if it had to be Jiren, it shouldn't have been as long.
Yeah, I understand what they were doing though, because they were ambitious by introducing 80 new characters all at once. I understand as well that they wanted to give a bit of shine because they thought up these new characters, there's new possibilities, new universes to explore. They've got to make each universe unique and different and a reason for hope for the future that we might see these characters return again. So they've all got to be at least somewhat interesting. But also, they didn't though. Like, that is what they were going for. They wanted each universe to be slightly different to each other, slightly different, slightly interesting at least. But they didn't. They could have had 2 or 3 universes which were just boring characters that were quickly eliminated because there is so many characters. They're never ever going to retread and bring back all of these characters in the future. It's not going to happen. Even if for whatever reason they do some arc where it's like, oh, guess what? There's a Dragon Ball in each universe. Get all of them and you can grant this mega wish. And it's like, yeah, maybe. Maybe then we'll see all these characters back. But that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, then we're never going to see half of these characters again. And they didn't need to be dragged out for so long. So yeah.
Like, I don't think we'll see people like Ribrianne in that again.
If anything, I think they were one of the more interesting ones. But like Universe 10, like you mentioned, they've got no memorable characters. Universe 2 as well, I think. No, not 2. 2 was Ribrianne. Universe...
2.
I can't remember which one's which.
Again. I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I can't remember which universes is which, to be honest. But there's a lot of them that would just say, okay, these are characters, I understand, they look a bit different. But do I care? Nah, not really. Even the universe with the 2 Namekians that come in, and like, yeah, they were cool for the episode. Are we going to see them again? Nah. Like, that's it. And they were the only standouts of their universe, I think, because I can't remember their teammates, if I'm honest. But, yeah.
This is the thing, like, they spent a lot of time introducing these characters, like Universe 2. Like, we learned loads of, I think this is what I've said previously when I was talking about worst universe in the last podcast. Is they spent such a build-up on Universe 2 and they did nothing. And I don't think this is why we're going to see them again. Because, and it's like, they spent so much time and you thought they were going to be so important, but they just did nothing.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't think we'll see them again, because I think they were just built for the Tournament of Power.
Maybe. I think the 3 girls, there's a good chance we will. But the men of the team, definitely not. They look like OG Dragon Ball villains. They just look like normal people who happen to be in this fight, who are wearing, well, by the end of it, once they transform, just weird costumes. They look like OG Dragon Ball villains. They didn't look like a threat. So I was like,
they've taken the ladies, Bianca Kunz's and Rosie's uniforms. Yeah. They've been like transformed onto them.
Yeah.
It looked odd because I'd been used to seeing the ladies wear them. It's just a weird transfer across.
And then I guess as well, the ending was maybe a bit of a cop out. I understand it. They had to bring everyone back. Like, that was going to happen. They spent way too much time, especially with Champa and that whole universe, building up these characters, and then building up with Jiren and Toppo as well in the Tournament of Power, that it just made sense to bring them back. But it is a bit of a cop out, let's face it.
Yeah.
They're fighting to save the universe, and then at the end, it didn't matter because everyone was just brought back. All right.
It ended up as the standard Dragon Ball lack of consequences.
Yeah, just at the end of an arc, and then things went back to normal, and then that's it.
Like even if they just brought back Universe 6.
Yeah.
Because we need Universe 6 because they're actually recurring characters, whereas we don't need any of the other ones. It wouldn't matter.
To be fair, true. Yeah.
We don't need any of the other ones. We don't need any of the other ones that have been involved because we won't technically probably see them again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know they've been in like the non-canon cartoon. What's it called?
Has Dragon Ball Heroes?
Yeah.
Super Dragon Ball Heroes, yeah.
Yeah, I keep getting mixed up with Superhero. Yeah. Like obviously that's not canon. But I imagine we will have a lot to do with Champa and Vados and everybody in the new Super coming up.
And we know as well that Jiren will come back because even in Superhero they hinted like, oh, we've got to train because Jiren is so strong and we need to find a way to beat him and stuff. So Jiren will be back. But he's such he's a nothing character to me. But yeah, I guess this segment has went on long. So I think we've had enough gripes there that we've talked about. And I'm sure you guys as well who are watching have a lot of comments on things that you didn't like, which I'm interested to hear about. So leave some comments for what you don't like about Super. And we'll definitely read the comments.
But also what you do like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say what you do like as well. But yeah, we're going to move on now. So let's go to the Hall of Fame.
Let's go.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
And now, once again, it is time for the Hall of Fame, where myself and Heeroh battle it out to see who is most worthy to enter the Hall of Fame this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, last week we had who was the worst universe in the Tournament of Power, and the results are.
So, it was between Universe 2, which is your pick, and Universe 10, which was my pick. And the winner, with 80% of the vote, was Universe 2. So, well done. Brienne and the gang. Yeah, they enter the Hall of Fame. The only time they'll ever enter the Hall of Fame is by being the worst at something. So, well done. But yeah, because you won the Hall of Fame for last week, you have ended my streak. Actually, no, you are now on a 2 streak. Is that right?
I am.
Yeah, you're on a 2 streak. And that also means...
Because you definitely would have picked Universe 2
I would have,
if you went first.
It was my first pick, but I went with the backup. But yeah, because of that, you get first pick this week as well. So what is the topic?
Yes, so this week we have the best ending to an arc in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And for me, it has got to be the ending to the Cell Saga.
Of course. I knew you were going to pick that. I knew it. Yeah. I mean, it was obvious. You have spoke about it so much on this podcast. I know how much you love the Cell arc and everything that happens, especially at the end of the arc. So I knew you were going to pick it, so I didn't even look at it. I was just like, okay, I've got to think of something else.
And right. You know I'm right.
I don't know. I think it could still be a close vote, so we'll see.
It's just... I think a lot of people can just... It's when... It's an emotional shift. It's a strong emotional shift in the show for me. I think there are a lot of cool moments. There are a lot of interesting moments. There are a lot of impactful moments in Dragon Ball. And a lot of them do happen at the end of the arcs. However, for me, it's a powerful moment, the end of the Cell arc. It's a huge change in Gohan. There's meaning behind it. I find that Gohan changes a lot as a character. It's something that's been building for a long time. We've seen Gohan as a character from basically the Saiyan saga, from when he first attacks Raditz. This is something that
As a
we've seen.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is finally a culmination of that. Of all of those arcs, we finally see it come to fruition. and to see that finally happen, and to see him snap, and to see that final beam battle, and to see him truly struggling, and you see him and he's starting to doubt himself, and he's starting to really struggle, and then you have Vegeta throw that blast just enough to distract Cell
in off the post back in there.
Just to get that, and then you have this small speech from Goku, and then you just hear the "do it now," and then they just scream, and the power through,
the slow motion walk.
Oof. Yeah, that shot is, in my opinion, one of the best shots in the entirety of Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
as you just see the flashing, which is dangerous to watch for some people. But just the walking through is it's one of the shots I'll never forget in Dragon Ball, is just walking through, Cell disintegrating, and it's just such a brilliant shot. And it's just, when I think of Dragon Ball, that is one of the moments that I will never forget. And it's what solidified Gohan as one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball. To me, he always changed into becoming that.
Yeah.
And then it made me pay a lot more attention into becoming Dragon Ball, from seeing Gohan, because it's fundamentally changed how I began to see him. And then I got to see him grow up more, and then look into him becoming an adult, into becoming a scholar, because in like the Frieza saga and everything, I just despised him.
Yeah.
But then throughout the Cell arc, I started to see him change more. And then when he became someone truly in the Cell arc, and then, like, obviously younger me, I also saw him and I was like, that's so cool.
I want to be like him.
But that final shot as well, it's one of the best shots. And I just thought the ending, it was just brilliant. And I just think it's truly impactful. There's emotion behind it. It just felt like a true resolution. And there's a reason a lot of people believe that should have been the ending to Dragon Ball Z. And it makes sense because it felt right. Like, it felt calm. It felt there was peace. Everybody was just satisfied. You felt like you had a hero in Gohan, and he was going to be the Earth's protector.
Yeah.
Because basically Goku decided to stay with King Kai. He was just going to stay there, and he basically said, like, Gohan, you are now basically Earth's protector. You are powerful. And it was like, okay, cheers, bye, Dad, love you. And it's like, you felt like you had something, and nothing felt forced. Everything felt like it was right. It felt like there was a conclusion. And a lot of the times with Dragon Ball, that doesn't necessarily feel like it's the case. It always feels like there's a next step to the story, and you're ready for the next thing to happen in Dragon Ball. You're waiting for the next episode, things like that. Or you're always waiting for the next thing, whereas there was a conclusion in the Cell saga, I found. And that's what it felt like with me. And I think that's why it was the best for the Cell saga. You had an excellent fight, you had an excellent bad guy, an excellent kill, a brilliant protagonist, and it wasn't Goku, which was for once. Gohan carried, and you had an excellent resolution. And to me, that's why Cell saga was top tier.
Fair enough. You've got a strong argument there, and to be honest, do I think it'll win? Yeah, probably. But I guess my pick is the end of OG Dragon Ball. The 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai tournament. Of course, it's not going to win because no one knows OG. But it is, in my opinion, like, even though I knew you were going to go with Cell, it probably wasn't going to be my pick anyway. I would have went with this, yeah. Because it's not just the ending of an arc, it is the ending of the entire show. And it was a good ending. You know, it's Goku's victory in the World Martial Arts Tournament. On his third attempt, he finally got a win against his most dangerous enemy so far, and his, now true rival, like bitter rival, Piccolo.
Was it Toriyama's planned original end?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Like, Toriyama wrote this not knowing that he was going to do Dragon Ball Z at the time.
Yeah.
And he wanted a way to end the story of Dragon Ball completely. His most successful show, the biggest anime at the time in the 80s. And, he's coming off the back of his other extremely successful anime that just finished. He started Dragon Ball straight after, and then that became even more popular, the biggest anime in the world at the time. And this was the ending, the true ending to Dragon Ball. Goku finally getting the win. It is such long-term storytelling, which they don't do in Dragon Ball anymore, because they go arc by arc, everything's resolved by the end, and that's it. They move on, next arc, we're starting fresh. The characters are all slightly stronger now, there's a new villain, let's go. But in OG Dragon Ball, the pacing was completely different, where yes, Goku grew stronger arc by arc, but enemies stayed around, villains stayed around. There was no specific ending, I guess, throughout any arc. Like, yes, we had the World Martial Arts tournaments, which were usually the end of arcs, but also Goku didn't win. He lost, and Tien won, and he was an enemy who, he won the tournament, and it's like, oh, Goku lost, and Tien's still around. Okay, well, what's going to happen next? And then you see the change from Tien changing heart and all that stuff, become one of the gang, that type of thing. And yeah, finally, Goku gets the win, third time trying. Piccolo is still alive, but he's been reincarnated. And the entire arc itself is fantastic. All of the fights within the tournament are great. And yeah, it defines early Dragon Ball. The fighting style, the animation, the fact that they're more focused on martial arts instead of beam struggles at this point in the show as well, which is great to see. And yeah, it's just, I know how good Z is. Yeah, like everyone knows how good Z is. Everyone loves Z, which is one of the reasons why people don't go back to look at OG, because they're just like, well, Z is probably better. But it is different pacing, I understand that. But this ending is just the perfect ending. It was a good farewell to Goku. If the show did wrap up there and Dragon Ball Z was never created, this was the perfect farewell. They bring back Chi-Chi, Goku gets married, the characters are still alive, Goku's happy, and that's how the show ends. And it's like, it gives possibility that, yeah, Piccolo is still around, there could be something that happens with him in the future. But apart from that, there's no expectation for anything. That could be it. Goku finally gets the big win, and he gets married, and they all go off into the sunset. There was no expectation to visit new universes. There was no expectation for all these aliens to become part of the show. It was just, there was one open end where Piccolo was still alive. And it's like, oh, there's potential that maybe Piccolo could come back. But there was no other, like, oh, but they haven't answered this, they haven't answered this, they haven't answered this. It was just, that's it. Goku's got married, he won, into the sunset. Perfect ending.
Literal off into the sunset.
Yeah. It was the perfect ending, in my opinion, because even with Z, the ending of Z, with Oob, and everything that happens there was so many questions, so many things of, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it didn't feel like an ending to a show. It felt like, yeah, maybe the ending to an arc where they're going to continue, but it didn't feel like the ending. It felt like, well, what happens next? But with OG, it was like, yes, I'm satisfied. Yeah, it would be nice to see more of the story, but this makes sense as an ending. There was no what about. It was just, I understand. And I'm happy with it.
The Oob thing, it was kind of like, okay, but can you come back now?
Yeah. So stupid, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, it was the perfect arc ending for me. I mean, I don't know if I feel like I'm kind of cheating because it was the end of a show as well. But yeah.
No, it's Dragon Ball.
Yeah. But yeah, the ending to the arc and the ending to OG in general, it was perfect ending to me. The best arc ender of any arc, including the Cell Saga. So, but that's just my opinion. But I'm not going to win anyway. But those are the two picks for this week's Hall of Fame. And you guys have the chance to vote to see which one enters the Hall of Fame in the next episode. So we have our social media links down below. You can see them right there. Go click on it and go vote in the polls. And we will find out next week which one enters the Hall of Fame. But for now, let's move on to the hot take.
Let's go.
Hot take.
So this is the hot take, the final segment of the podcast where I deep dive online and find out someone else's opinion regarding Dragon Ball, and then we discuss, we say whether we like it, whether we dislike it, and then we talk about it. So, disclaimer. This is not our opinion. As I've already said, this is the second time I mention it now in 10 seconds. This isn't our opinion. You just got clickbaited if this title has made you click on the video because you want to argue. So if you've watched the first 10 seconds of this segment, then I've warned you. Yeah, you've been clickbaited potentially. I don't know. But we're going to discuss an opinion that is someone else's. We're not clickbaiting, really. We're still discussing it. We're making our own opinions on someone else's opinion. So yes, leave your hate comments after watching, please. Thank you. And yeah, see if you agree with us or not. But anyway, this week's hot take. So I've searched online through the forums and found a comment by some random person, and they have said, Jiren is pushed out like he's the best thing since sliced bread, when there's little to him beyond being super powerful. His backstory is very generic. His strength is not impressive when literal gods are in attendance, and he seems more like a parody. He's so strong he can break time? A counter example to Jiren, Piccolo joined the good guys and is usually the calm and collected one, but always adds something. Snark, aid for the good guys, his techniques and weighted clothing to whatever fight he's in. Bottom line, Jiren gets the most flack for being painfully generic and not very interesting other than being super powerful. The problem is, Dragon Ball has had plenty of villains that go beyond super powerful and even further beyond into interesting characters that challenge the protagonists on multiple levels. Jiren just doesn't have Frieza's sadism and narcissism, or Cell's smarts, or Boo's unpredictability. And that's the take. Bit of Jiren bashing in this segment. So all you Jiren fans out there, this is not our opinion. I will say it a third time. But let's discuss. So what do you think about that?
I mean, to be fair, I'm not really a Jiren fan as is.
Yeah, Jiren haters, let's rise up, because I also agree with this take. Down with Jiren, he is generic and boring.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they're saying he's not that strong in terms of gods being there, but he's literally, they say he's a person as strong as gods of destruction. It's like one of the first things they say about Jiren.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Jiren. He literally he breaks the whole canon of everything that's going on.
Yeah. I guess in this case, there is the angels, which are stronger. We just don't know the extent of their power. There's also Xeno in attendance as well. I kind of understand there is more powerful characters, but also they're definitely not the focus, and we don't know how they fight. So they're kind of like non-characters at this point in terms of power level.
But, I mean, you can't be saying people like Beerus are stupidly strong compared to Goku, and like Goku and everything is just... Like, there's a whole argument about Beerus being stupidly strong compared to Goku and everything like that. And then Goku's, like, can't beat Beerus, can't beat Jiren at the start, is actually getting absolutely annihilated by Jiren at the start of the Tournament of Power. It's like
Mhm.
it kind of negates the whole thing. But then it kind of ruins it for me. I don't understand like Jiren's concept of being as strong as a god of destruction. I really just hope that Jiren is like the god of destruction he's apparently as strong as is a very weak god of destruction.
Yeah, because
if it's Belmod, as far as I'm aware, from what I've heard, Belmod's actually quite strong. He's not weak. I mean, I could be wrong with that, but I think I've heard that he's actually quite strong.
Yeah, I don't really. They don't really explain how gods of destruction retire. Do they just go off into the sunset, chill on a beach, and live out the rest of their life? How does that work? But obviously, Top's kind of in line to take his place. Is it just when they die? I guess maybe potentially, but Toppo looks just because of his mustache. He looks.
But he gets a massive power boost when he gets his destruction powers, like ridiculous. Like he starts annihilating Frieza. Like without even trying, so he gets a huge power boost. But I think it was a huge mistake for them to say that he's as strong as they should never ever have said that.
No,
yes, it sounds intimidating and it sounds really scary, but it ruins the whole godhood issue.
Yeah,
gods of destruction are supposed to be this like unbelievable force that you shouldn't mess with. Like when we're first introduced to Beerus, he taps his finger on a table and cuts a planet in half.
Yeah,
like that should point something out, and it's just like, so you shouldn't be saying that about characters. And I think it's very bad that they did that.
Yeah, because even the fight between Goku and Beerus, like Goku doesn't really do much. If anything, to be honest, he might have got a punch here and there, but that's about it. No real damage to Beerus that is seen. There's a few times where Beerus is like, "Oh wow, this guy's strong," but he doesn't flinch. He's not reacting in pain anytime. So we know that Beerus is just on another level compared to Goku. And it's like, are you telling me that by the end of the Tournament of Power, even with Ultra Instinct, that now Goku and Jiren are kind of on level with Beerus?
I refuse to accept that.
Nah,
I can't bring myself to believe it.
Also, I can't imagine any other destroyer being that much weaker than Beerus. I kind of just put them all on the same level. Like, they're probably all just about as strong as each other. So,
like if you put it in the manga, like Beerus held his. I've said this before. Like Beerus held his own against a few of them, but that's because he partially tapped into Ultra Instinct.
Yeah.
Like obviously, so that had to do with that. That wasn't just directly him being him by himself. That had to do with Ultra Instinct. That just wasn't him chilling fighting. I mean, I believe that is the case. If I've read that right, again, I'm not a manga reader. I think I've read that. He is strong, but I don't believe he's that much stronger than the majority of the rest of the godhood, and I don't see why he would just automatically be stronger than the rest of them.
Yeah, and like what this guy said as well, like every villain has been like incredibly strong. Frieza was incredibly strong when we first got introduced to him. Cell was incredibly strong when we first got introduced to him. Boo was incredibly strong. Even Zamasu and Goku Black, I think they're the exception. They were strong because they were invincible. But in Z, at least anyway, the three main villains, they were all incredibly strong. They had to train, they had to grow, and that was it. And Jiren was the same. He was incredibly strong. Goku, within that fight, trained, unlocked a new form, and was able to defeat him in the end. Even if it was with the help of 17 and Frieza at the end, I guess, to 3-on-1 push him out of the ring. But, it is what it is. They still grew and managed to overcome the big, strong guy by the end. But, like this guy said as well, he doesn't have Frieza's narcissism or Cell's smarts or Boo's unpredictability. He his backstory was not good. You know, oh, okay, his family died when he was young and he was left as an orphan, so he got really strong. Okay, well, believe it or not, Planet Vegeta got blown up.
Yeah,
Everyone died.
He only believes in himself.
Yeah, it's like,
that's it.
Okay, so you got strong because your family died. Okay. Generic backstory there. We've heard this a million times before. Okay, Batman. And then,
basically.
Yeah, and then it's like, in the tournament, he doesn't really speak. He just sits there, and then when he does speak, he's just like, yeah, I can beat you. Oh, Goku, you're getting stronger all of a sudden. And then say, I can still win. And it's like, what are these generic one-liners? I don't care. He's got no memorable lines that he says. His backstory's terrible. He's part of this Super Troopers team. And it's like, okay, well...
But the thing is, it's like, the Pride Troopers are the Ginyu Force. Yeah.
On steroids, yeah.
Yeah. And he's part of that. Yet, he is not a member of the Ginyu Force. He is the anti-Ginyu Force. He has no accent, like, he's not eccentric or anything like that.
No, he's boring.
He is literally like the embarrassed dad of like these mad kids acting daft.
Yeah. Like when they were first introduced and they all pulled the pose as a team and Jiren's just standing in the back with his arms crossed. Just looking tough.
Like okay. he's just a buzzkill of the Ginyu Force, basically. Like that's what he is. It's like it's just so out of place.
Yeah, you compare them to the Ginyu Force, and I think we have in a previous podcast. But literally every member of the Ginyu Force has more personality than Jiren as well. Yeah. Even Goldo, who dies within a few episodes, he's still more interesting than Jiren as a character. Even his technique of being able to freeze time by holding his breath, that's more interesting than any of Jiren's techniques. Jiren doesn't have any techniques that are unique. You know, he has big beam blasts, he has powerful ki, but no cool moves, really. He can break time.
Heavy punches.
Yeah, he can break through time because he's so quick and he can like counter Ultra Instinct movements and hit. Like Hit's time breaker technique, he can dodge that, which just proves that he's like, I don't know, brainy, strong. I don't know, he's faster enough than time. He can break time, but like,
which I didn't really like. Like it's just like it was a flex on how strong he was.
Yeah.
But I think that should have been dealt with differently.
Yeah.
Like I think that should have been intercepted by another member, like Top or something like that.
Goku figured it out, and it took him being hit multiple times to figure it out. Jiren, first time Hit tries to attack him, is just like, yeah, I can dodge this, like no problem.
When he makes the pocket prison and everything like that, he's just like, no, I think I'll walk through this. It's like, come on, he used this amazing cool ability.
Yeah.
And he's just like, nah, I'm strong. I'm too strong for you.
Yeah.
It's like Hit. Come on. He's the ultimate assassin. It should have involved some type of interception from. It would have been amazing to have locked him up, and it's been like, yes, okay. It shows that he's not infallible. I think that would have been more interesting to show that the big bad isn't totally infallible.
Or even show him being stuck in there and fighting his way out of it instead of just kind of countering it. Like, prove his strength by him, like, struggling, you know? He's stuck in there, he's panicking, he's struggling, he's putting on more energy to break out, and he gets stronger and stronger and manages to burst out. That would have been enough, but instead it's like, nah, this isn't happening.
I'm too tough, and you just start walking past it. It's like,
yeah. But yeah, getting back to it, like, all of the main villains, all of the main characters pretty much have a unique, cool move. And Jiren has nothing. He has that big ball, but even then it kind of looks like Frieza's death ball. There's nothing new there. It's a slightly different color and it doesn't kill, I guess, maybe. But that's just because
it's like hand red ball thing.
Yeah, but it's like,
and that's about it.
It's not nothing unique and nothing special. Like, he has no special unique moves. Nothing that stands out. Yeah, okay.
I think the fandom, and the thing is, it's this for the longest arc in Super. Like, you have the least interesting bad guy for the longest arc in Super.
Yeah. I get it that he's not technically a bad guy. He's just the antagonist.
He's the antagonist of the arc.
Yeah,
like I don't think it would have been bad. Don't think it would have been as bad if you'd made Top. I think a lot of people have this like this thing is if Top was the main bad guy.
Yes, we've discussed this. We both agreed. Yeah, it would have been better if Top was the main.
Yeah, because there's personality to him, and him becoming the god of power gives him a legitimate reason to power up and become legitimately powerful.
And the fact that when we were first finding out about the team, it was focused on Top, recruiting all the members and saying, look, we've got this, because he's also the team leader as well. And yeah, he's just like, yeah, I'm team leader and I'm the cool one. I can transform. I have cool moves. I do everything. You find out a bit more about me. But Jiren, ho, look at that guy. He's big and strong. You know, look at him. He's the main one, not me.
It's like Blue versus Super Saiyan God Blue versus Top, and they're quite evenly matched. Oh, right. Goku now has Ultra Instinct. How could Top possibly keep up? He turns into a god of destruction. Right. There, perfect. Now there's a fight.
Yeah.
Like, there, perfect. And he has personality. Grand. And then you have Batman Jiren, and it's like, no one cares.
Yeah, another thing as well, which I'm in two minds because I kind of like it, kind of don't, is that universe, they all came in wearing the same clothing, which made them stand out, because you look around the entire field, there's different characters, like a load of new characters that are introduced, and you don't know who's on what team or anything like that. And these stand out because you can tell these are all a team. They're wearing the same thing. But when you look at characters individually, they all stand out because of what they're wearing as well, their costumes, their design, and because their entire team was wearing the same thing. Jiren doesn't even stand out because of what he's wearing. If that team, like every other team, came in wearing their own clothing, wearing their own designs, that type of thing, maybe then Jiren would have stood out a bit more, because it would be like, oh, he's wearing this cool little cape thing or something like that. I don't know. Something that makes him stand out just on what he's wearing. But instead, he's just wearing a costume like all of the rest of them. Even that doesn't make him stand out.
Yeah. Or like basically just change the uniform. Yeah. Like the Ginyu Force's uniform is like, I know it's just saying armor, but it's like the armor is very obvious.
Yeah.
Like the Pride Trooper uniform is very bland.
Like it's a full body thing as well. Like that's what's annoying.
Black and red unitard or whatever.
Yeah, because at least with the Saiyan armor, it took up the upper body, but a lot of the time, well, some of the time at least, it got taken off. And they still had each member looked completely. I mean, they did as well. The Pride Troopers looked completely different from each other, but the costume takes up their entire bodies. You can't see anything until, Toppo and Jiren, I guess, until it gets ripped off the top half at least. But even then, it's just their body, and it's like, okay. But yeah, they don't, I don't know.
The thing is, he's just basically a grey head. Whereas you can tell the difference between people like Dispo, because he's basically a giant purple rabbit. And you can tell the difference between Toppo because of the massive white mustache. So there's like, it's his design's poor as well.
Yeah, like character design is incredibly important, and they made him just look like a buff generic alien. Like
he's a buff generic Martian.
Yeah, like I don't understand why they went with that. Like the main antagonist of this entire arc is the most generic looking one. Like we've all seen the generic alien design, the green/grey alien head where it's just two eyes and a mouth, like in an oval shape. That's what he looks like. And it's like, well, why though? Why? Yeah. He's supposed to be a main, and you make him the most like generic. Why? Don't understand.
I think they're usually very creative with their enemies. I mean, you got Frieza stands out, Cell stands out, Majin Buu. I mean, yeah, he is for the most part a blob, but I mean, he changes a lot. I mean, he is bright pink, to be fair, and he does change a lot as he evolves. So I mean, he doesn't look a lot different, and he is a blob for the most part, but he does change a lot as he changes. You obviously got Goku Black, things like that. Zamazu, brilliant design in Zamazu, especially when he fuses.
Mhm.
They do very well for the most part with their. I mean, Beerus, look at that man. Like they do very well. I mean, Dispo is kind of a knockoff Beerus, to be fair.
A little bit, yeah.
But they do very well with them, and then to end the longest super arc with a buff Martian is very disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went with that. I mean, the dude doesn't even have ears.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of Dragon Ball characters don't have ears. Frieza's
Yeah,
the
but
same.
he doesn't even have hair. Like, come on.
True.
Or anything. He has
Frieza's the
nothing.
same.
Like he has no like
Yeah.
he's literally got nothing. Like
Mm.
but I suppose Frieza, but at least Frieza has a tail. Like, gee, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Jiren
Or
is
different
just like
forms. He has like Frieza has something to him.
yeah. Jiren has like he's
He
tall,
has
obviously.
he has
but-
something built into him, whereas
Yeah.
literally like he has different colors and everything like that. Like
Jiren is just human
Jiren is
form
one
with a different
colour.
head.
Yeah, he is literally one color.
Yeah.
He is a single shade, whereas at least with Frieza you have different colors and everything
Mm.
built into him.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I don't get
Yeah,
it.
but yeah, I think we both agree with this take. Jiren was a bit of a powerful beast for no reason. Bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place to wrap up the podcast anyway.
Yes.
We discussed about it enough. Again, if you've made it this far, remember this was not our opinion to begin with, but we do agree with it anyway. So clickbait or not, we agree with it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like it up, subscribe down below if you haven't already. Go leave some comments and check out the Hall of Fame in our social medias down below. And other than that, we will see you all next time.
Yeah.